Good afternoon and welcome to another exciting edition of Democracy and the Rule of Law. It is a wet and beautiful Sunday. Hopefully the heat will pipe down a little because it's been really hot. But hopefully the rains will kind of cool the temperature down for us. And either way, we're here to educate, to entertain you on the program Democracy and the Rule of Law, and I am Solomon Offem. Let's quickly take a look at what we're going to be talking about today. We'll be discussing security, of course, but using the NSA claim as a point of reference, where controversy ensued on Friday as the National Security Advisor, Babagana Mongono, alleged that $1.1 billion fund meant for purchase of arms to tackle insurgency during the ex-service chief's tenure got missing. And of course, later that day, he came out to recount his statement, saying his quote was taken out of context. Well, that could only mean that he was under pressure to make that recount. We're going to be taking a look at the implication of that statement. And of course, we'll go down to the herds, farmers clashes, where following the intervention of the state government and the Are Ono Kakanfo of Yoruba Land, Gani Adams, and the 3 members of Odu's People's Congress who were detained for alleged attack on Fulani leader Iskilu Wakili was released by the State Police Command. Well, the background story, they arrested Iskilu Wakili, and of course when they handed him over to the State Police Command, they were arrested, and of course that has caused quite a number of reactions for Nigerians have been coming out to say, okay, so if our community police, as it were, cannot save us, cannot help us, then what hope that we have? We're going to be taking a look at the implication of that. And of course, we'll now move over to the federal government and the Delta State government fighting over Ibori's 4.2 million pounds loot. The House of Representatives has directed the federal government to halt the spending of the recovered 4.2 million pounds Ibori loot and ensure that the money, once returned to the United Kingdom, is handed over to Delta State government. Of course, the state government and the federal government have been going back and forth on that. Then finally, on democracy and the rule of law, the Nigerian Labour Congress NLC on Wednesday staged a nationwide protest over the proposed amendment of the Minimum Wage Act. The protest has been coordinated from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, held simultaneously across the country following the attempt by some lawmakers at the National Assembly to remove the minimum wage from the exclusive legislative list and place it on the concurrent legislative list. For the average Nigerian, what does that mean? So these are what we're going to be talking about on democracy and the rule of law today. Once again, I'm Solomon Offem. We'll go for a break. When we'll come back, I have my guests, I introduce them, and we'll start talking. Once again, you're welcome to the show. Okay, if you're just tuning in, this is Democracy and the Rule of Law on Galaxy Television. I have a barrister, Inyobong Udo, who will be joining us for the first time on the program. Good to have you join us today, sir.
Thank you so much. My pleasure. The pleasure is mine.
Okay, and of course, we have a regular here, Barrister Ayo Osho, also a legal practitioner. Okay, and as Sabah Delta State, we have Barrister Fred Ogenesive. Of course, he's a regular on the program, but we'll be talking to him for the first time virtually. Good to have you join us on the program today. Okay, looks like he can't hear us. Okay, well, I'm sure he will hear us and join us as the program goes on. Oh, via Zoom, actually. Yeah. So let's quickly take a look at our first topic for discussion, where controversy ensued on Friday after the National Security Advisor, NSA, General Babagana Mongino, retired, alleged that $1 billion funds meant to purchase arms to tackle insurgency during the ex-service chief's tenure got missing. Mongino, in an interview with the House of Service of the British Broadcasting Corporation, alleged that neither the fund nor the weapons the ex-service chiefs were meant to buy could be traced. According to him, the president will soon order a probe into the matter. Mongino added that the Nigerian Governors Forum was also wondering where all the funds meant for the arms went. However, in a statement by his office later that Friday, the NSA recanted his early allegations, saying he was quoted out of context. While he admitted granting the BBC interview under reference, he denied saying funds meant for the purchase of arms had gone missing. Now, it's a good thing the interview is all over the place, on the internet, where we can see him actually saying this word. So what do you think is responsible for the recount? I mean, lots of Nigerians have come out to say probably under pressure. So what's your take on that?
I think we need to also, first of all, look at the history of these funds. These funds did not just come from the Federation account. They came from the excess crude account. That is the account that every state, in the country is supposed to, draw from. So I think some time ago, states had contributed to, to these funds for the security of the entire nation. And so if states had done that contribution and they had taken steps to ensure that the security of the nation was well guaranteed, and then some period later we hear that the funds were missing, I think it's a great disservice to the generality of the country. Funds that the entire country contributed to, so, and then first we hear that the NSA came out to say the funds are missing, the equipment cannot be traced, and then few hours later we heard the recant, yes, I made the statement, but I didn't mean that the funds were missing. I meant to say that the funds, the equipment had been ordered, they had been sent for, but there are processes that needed to be involved and all of that. It's a double speak. It doesn't speak well for the security architecture, it doesn't speak well for the security structure and organogram in the country. And then when we look at the state of security in the country, we get baffled as to why there should be these ups and downs with this issue. Herdsmen crisis here and there, banditries here and there. The north is not safe. There are kidnappings. Just in the past week we've heard of kidnappings, especially in the north. And it's not funny.
Not at all.
It's not funny. So funds have been appropriated for this purpose. The funds are not there. The equipment is not available. I mean, it's not good. It's not a good sight at all.
Okay, let me hear you say, sir.
Well, just to adopt what you have said, you see, during the tenure of the previous service chiefs within this administration, there were allegations of corruption leveled against this.
I mean, there were lots of allegations, extrajudicial killings, and I mean, and so much.
Yes, I recall an article I read written by the learned SCN, Michael Zekomen. He actually stated reasons why the president should be invited to the National Assembly. He said when issues of funds meant for the security of the nation is involved, we can call the president because it's his office. You understand?
But we know how that turned out.
Yes, how it turned out. He wanted to go there, but didn't go. But the central thing I want to bring out is that the issue of corruption has been lingering on these same service chiefs. Now, when Mongunu spoke, he spoke expressly. He said the weapons were not there for the troops. Then look at it. When we talk about organogram, organization, how things are run, when these service chiefs left, they must have left notes handover notes to the incumbent ones and to the NSA chief, so that he couldn't have been talking off the cuff. It was, I believe, he spoke the truth. He's not a young man, he's a retired general.
Yes.
And he's in a public office. So those statements should not be allowed to go unexamined. It can't happen elsewhere. It can only happen in Nigeria. That serious allegations like that will be made, and people just take it lying down. I would expect that the previous service chief should speak up. Now they are now ambassadors. They are ambassadors. They are now ambassadors.
Yes.
People of questionable character. I know what I'm saying, because they have been alleged to have been involved in corrupt practices, because the soldiers were not being paid as at when due. Soldiers were complaining that their salaries were not coming. The widows of deceased soldiers were also complaining. So there are fundamental issues there that should not be swept under the carpet. You know, it should not be swept under the carpet. We are talking about banditry. We are talking about Boko Haram. We are actually placing the lives of our troops in danger, while some elements, some few elements, cannot account for, number one, weapons. Then number two, the money meant for their welfare. So we should not take this line down. I expect journalists to keep harping on this thing until the truth comes out for the benefit of all Nigerians.
Well, it's a good thing someone like we're here to talk about it. Now, I understand Barrister Fred Ogenesive is online now. Let's have your contribution on that. What do you think?
I think that the circumstances is deep enough to show for concern to Nigerians. The government has spent so much money, billions of dollars, in fighting insecurity in the country. And on top of this, we still do not have security in the nation. That purpose has not been achieved. And this coming out from an insider of this government, actors in the security architecture of the country. What is expected of the government is to initiate investigation, like my other colleague have said, to unravel the circumstances surrounding these missing funds. If the soldiers were complaining that their allowances were not paid, salaries are not forthcoming, and the wives of bereaved soldiers are saying that they have not been, catered for, then something went wrong. Some monies did not get to certain places, and that should not be swept under the carpet. That is on the one leg. On the second leg, it is inappropriate for the federal government to appoint the service chiefs as ambassadors. It shows that the government is trying to hide something, trying to take these service chiefs away from us, from questioning, from media investigations, by making them ambassadors and sending them away to foreign countries, so that the diplomatic immunity will serve the purpose of not allowing them to come and answer questions bordering on their activities during their tenure. So I think that this matter should not be swept under the carpet. It must be investigated, because huge sums of money is involved. And to that extent, the Nigerian government under President Muhammadu Buhari, being a government that says they are fighting corruption, should take it upon themselves to unravel this monumental fraud that has been alleged within the security architecture of this nation. So the service chiefs should not be shielded, should not be allowed to go scot-free. They must be investigated, and then the truth should be made known to Nigerians.
Okay, but now that the NSA boss have come out to recount, what does this mean for the investigation? Because, I mean, the National Assembly, we're actually talking about investigating them, but if there's a recount, what does this mean for the investigation of that department and the fund generally?
The recount is inconsequential. To me, I think the recount is as a result of pressure from certain quarters.
Okay, we seem to have a network issue. Now, let me throw the questions open to you.
Well, it's either the funds are there or they are not there. It's either the arms have been procured or they have not been procured. So I don't think that the recant means it's far-reaching. If somebody said the funds are missing, and he now comes out to say, okay, the funds are not missing, the funds are traceable. We can be able to trace to say, where are the funds? If the funds were appropriated and then they were sent for a particular purpose, have the equipment they were sent for, have they been purchased? Have they been delivered? Have they arrived the country? So we can be able to trace that. Where are the funds? Have they been sent, or were they diverted for one purpose or the other? And you know, what makes it all the more wonderful is that the administration is tagged an anti-corruption administration, and so things like this should not be here. You know, recently we have soldiers being overpowered by Boko Haram. They've been complaining of lack of funds lack of arms and ammunition to fight. And then we also hear that the kind of weapons they have is not sophisticated enough. You know, so it's ironical that our military is going through this kind of issues, and then we'll be hearing of missing funds. So whether he recants or not, I think we should put it in public view. I think we should be able to, the investigation should still go on. Let us know whether the funds were actually, you know, the arms actually purchased, and then have they arrived the country and all of that. So I think investigations can still go on whether he has recanted or not.
So it looks like we didn't learn anything from the Mainas issue. I mean, this is not the first time, this is not the first time we're having issues like this. It's believed that this administration came in with the motto to fight corruption. Should have been able to put a proper check, especially with, you know, they came in, I mean, the whole security issue didn't start from their tenure, and they came in and said, okay, we will do better where the last administration failed. And Dasuki came from that administration, and they fought tooth and nail to make sure they got justice for Nigeria in terms of arms. And this is like a repeat, you know, and in the same administration, I mean, different administration rather. You know, so what do you have to say to that?
You see, the fact that that man recanted is never enough in law. Whatever you have said in a criminal matter, it stands. So when you recant, the judge is supposed to look for corroboration elsewhere. So, meaning that this thing needs to be investigated. The fact that he recanted calls for an investigation now more than ever. The money appropriated for this sector, where did it go to? If arms have been ordered, where were they ordered from? From which country? From which manufacturers? You'll be shocked that CNN can take over this thing. Because you recall during the NSA thing, CNN had to take over that thing, went to Bosnia or whatever, and got evidence that actually the weapons fired came from certain places. So we should not wait for a foreign news organization to start probing into our affairs. Because the issue of security in Nigeria is an international issue. We are the most populous black nation on earth, and Nigeria is not safe. Just last week in Kaduna that houses the NDA, the Defense Manufacturing Company, every other military thing in Nigeria is actually in Kaduna. If Kaduna is not safe, my brother, where should be safe in Nigeria? News informs us that Abuja itself is no longer safe. Bandits move in and out of that place. So the issue of security is a national issue. It's an issue that will affect the smallest child in Nigeria. So the fact that it recanted means that a satellite should be beamed. Look, we appointed these ambassadors. Let's not forget. We can recall them. Of course. So this issue of sovereign immunity does not really apply. If they offend in a foreign country, they enjoy immunity. But if the country declares them persona non grata, they are out of those countries. We appointed them. We can call them back home. So this matter must be looked into.
So I'm hoping Barrister Gena Savannah can talk to us now. So what does this recount mean for for the investigation of this issue?
The recount is suspicious, absolutely suspicious, and that is not permissible in within the criminal jurisdiction. Like my learned friend has rightly said, what needed to be done by the federal government is to push aside that recount and investigate the matter thoroughly. And that is why I said earlier that, look, by appointing the service chiefs as ambassadors to nations at this time, it's uncalled for. These are service chiefs that were in charge of security in this country, and we didn't get anything out of it. The situation became worse. Nigerians were crying that they should be removed. And having removed them, why are you making them ambassador? Is that a kind of a compensation for failure? So, and if they continue to do that, what that means is that the cover-up that they are trying to make will shield the service chiefs from investigation. Because at that time, they will have been sent out as ambassadors to foreign nations, and they cannot be easily be brought to Nigeria to come and testify. So I think that what we need to do is for the federal government to show transparency in their anti-corruption drive. Let Nigerians know that their corruption drive is very sincere and straightforward. To that extent, they need to, investigate the matter thoroughly and unravel the missing funds. It's huge sums of money that we are talking about here. So that the same way they have recovered other stolen money from other people and other public officers, they should also recover that money and pay it back to the Nigerian Treasury to be deployed either back to the security or
we'll get back to you now.
How
visible will this investigation be? I mean, we know the history between the president and these ex-service chiefs. The president, as far as they are concerned, has done a lot against what Nigerian wishes and in favor of these people. Nigerians cried for there to be change. The president refused to change them until they resigned, in quote. And the president brought them, nominated them, as non-career, ambassadors, and Nigerians cried out. The National Assembly still certified them. So with that, allegation of shielding, how is there any, do you think they're going to be investigation? Is there any likely investigation for this?
Well, let's not forget that just recently we've had one of the youngest public officers in Nigeria, the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. And so it's,
that's an interesting terminology.
For me, it's a good test for him, how prepared he is. Usually, I remember that sometime in the last election, there were allegations of bullion vans moving into somewhere in Ikoyi, and then there were reports that, oh, sorry, there was no petition, and then the commission can only investigate when there is a petition. But we hope that the latest chairman of the EFCC can take this up and then carry out investigation to find out where the funds that were appropriated have, are, when the arms, have they been purchased, have they been delivered, have they been diverted, are people, are people being found liable for these diversions? And then, like my colleague has said, irrespective of the fact that they are diplomats, they can be recalled by the home country. And then they can be investigated, and if found them liable, they can be prosecuted accordingly. So I think that if we are serious enough, we can get this done. We hope that the present administration will lose election, and then the next administration will come and investigate them. We just hope not.
Okay, so but he just said that without any allegation, what really can't the EFCC investigate without any allegation made?
A petition.
Or petition rather.
You see, technically, they need a petition.
Okay.
They need a petition because it's on the basis of the petition that they will commence investigation. But between you and I, are we not crying out? Have the soldiers not been crying out? Have the widows of the deceased soldiers not been crying out?
But is that? But is the crying out enough?
No. Why not? You see, we have to think outside the box.
I thought the petition is supposed to be like an official thing, a document.
You see, we as legal practitioners, I think we can take it up. We can take it up. The NBA can take it up. There's no reason why the NBA cannot take it up.
Yes.
It's a body, you understand, set up in the interest of Nigerians to protect rule, to promote the rule of law. So the NBA can take it up. Because the NBA recently took up
so many
issues recently. So the NBA can take it up. And I'm urging the NBA to actually take it up.
What about the legislatures, the National Assembly?
Personally, I won't suggest that.
Okay, why not?
Because this same National Assembly, in spite of the outcry of Nigerians, just asked these gentlemen to take a bath when they became ambassadors. You understand? In spite of all the crying, you understand? Even, do you know that previously, the same National Assembly had invited them and wanted to, you know, investigate them, not on the missing funds, so just on the
general security issues
in Nigeria. But the president, using his clout, you understand, the office of president using his clout, just made sure that that was not